Hi everyone, welcome along to Epsom Downs on Tuesday the 21st of May as 4 potential Derby horses put through their paces, having a nice morning workout at the home of the Derby on the iconic track just behind me. Those trained by Rafe Beckett, Roger Teal, Owen Burrows and Richard Hannon. Now the trainers as well as the jockeys were on hand to share their thoughts. Pat, you've just exercised Voyage, who is just a dark horse, I guess, going into the Derby. What was the feel out there on the track?
Yeah, couldn't have went better. Very happy with him. We went to Mile. They've had a bit of rain overnight, so the ground's lovely. No, it went smooth. Very happy with him.
Talk to me about going into Newbury that day, because what we found afterwards is that was an impressive winner. He wasn't the shortest price of the stable runners. What did you know of him that day?
Not much that day because I wasn't long back from the bike, so I hadn't sat on him much. But I rode him back end of last year. He was ready to run, but he was still very weak. Julie decided not to run him, just to keep him as a 3-year-old, because his pedigree is all 3-year-old, 4-year-old. So it's a good choice. But he's a horse that doesn't need much work. He's kind of forward going. He's a little bit keen sometimes. Sean Fox has done a good job on him.
I don't know whether he said it in jest a bit. Richard said he didn't go for one of the recognised trials after Newbury because he didn't want to burst the bubble. Why? You know, you'll find out on Derby Day. But I guess with that in mind, does a morning like that, this I should say, have even more importance just for an away day and another experience?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, he's a horse that's only learning. But I was very happy how he went down. He went down nice and calm and came back even beautiful. I was surprised how relaxed he was in behind his lead horse. So hopefully he's grown up. The Derby is obviously a very hard race to win, but it's wide open this year.
Are you excited personally?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I know you can be. In Dubai, you've had that amazing season you've just had, but to come back here and have a second Derby ride potentially on a totally unexposed horse for you personally, that must give you quite a buzz.
Oh yes, that's the reason why you get up out of bed in the morning to try and get rides like him. Very hard to get on horses like him, so hopefully he'll show up and run a nice race.
And we were saying this way, you have completed one of the trio here, the Group 1. You won the Coronation Cup on Pether's Moon 9 years ago.
Yeah, brilliant day, yeah. Same day I rode my heat in the Derby, actually.
Which is your only previous Derby ride?
Yes, which Golden Horn won, which is the sire of Julie's horse.
So it's all coming together. And just for look, Richard wouldn't have that many Derby runners. For Julie Wood, long-standing owner as part of the yard, it kind of gives me that feeling of being quite a special, I'm not going to say voyage because that'd be a cliche, be a horrible pun, but a special journey for all.
Obviously, yeah. Julie's been with Richard since I started a long time ago. She's starting to build back up her string again. She got some nice 2-year-olds, some nice 3-year-olds. So yeah, she deserves a lot.
The object of the exercise will vary from trainer to trainer and gallop to gallop, but the normal is to let the better horse go past whenever Jim feels he wants to, and Mahaba Million just having to be shaken up. Deira Mile still cantering along on the outside. And then, depending on the severity of the work that is required, Deira Mile may be asked just to extend away. Jim Crowley's had a couple of rides in the Derby, both finishing down the field. Eminent would have been the best of them. And Deira Mile currently amongst the outsiders this time around. As I said, the owner's got experience and coming away nicely in the gallop to win comprehensively, leaving his 81 rated Gallic companion well behind.
As a spin, how would you describe it?
It went very well. He took it all in, and he was very well balanced around the track. He's not an overly big horse. He's just a nice size and well balanced, and he changed leads at all the right places. And I was really happy with him. And he was quite green at Windsor that day when he hit the front. But today he was good. You know, he went on inside the 2 furlong marker, and he was as straight as a gun barrel. So he's obviously learnt plenty from that little confidence boost.
He was quite green when you got on him at Windsor, and I guess it was a good opportunity for him to win because he had good form. So as an overall profile, how do you assess him going into next week?
Very, I suppose, unexposed really going into the race. You know, he's got very good 2-year-old form. He stays well physically. He's a completely different animal to what I sat on at Windsor.
Is he?
And I'm pleasantly surprised how well he's done.
Which is not that long ago.
No, he's looks different. He's come in his coat and he's physically strengthened up, and he just seems to be mentally and physically in a really good place. So it would be I'm hopeful of a really good run from him, actually.
You wouldn't be the only one, because I know the owner, Ahmed Al-Sheikh, he loves this race and is continually represented. Had that 150 to 1 shot, finished second a few years ago. So does it add an extra thrill that you're riding for someone who is just dreaming of this race, not that you're not yourself?
Well, I think, it's great. Obviously, he's passionate about the race, and as am I. But like I said, I do honestly believe that the horse has got a nice chance in the race in what is a very open derby.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? And I know we ask, I said this to Owen a few moments ago, we ask every year whether there's a hot favourite or not, how do you assess the field? So from the trials, from the guineas, how do you evaluate the picture over the last month or so?
Still very, very unclear, isn't it? I mean, there's so many horses, probably be a big field, and I would imagine there's no really a standout horse in the race. So, but like I said, one thing I'll say about this horse, he'll stay well, he'll handle the track, he's got class, so if everything falls right, he could run big race.
And lastly, if the ground was as you saw it today come next Saturday, would you be quite satisfied?
The ground up there is perfect today. Yeah, it's beautiful ground, good, bit of moisture in the ground, if we got that next week, we'd be delighted.
Owen Boris, is a special time of year, and you were just saying that when you walk through the door here at Epsom, when you do come here, it sort of brings back some quite special memories.
Yeah, look, it's always holds fond memories here. My first Group 1 with Huckham sort of a couple of years ago in the coronation. But I was very fortunate to be at St Michael's for 3 of his Derby winners: Workforce, Northlight, and Criskin. So, yeah, as I say, special memories. Be nice to add my name to it.
In those days when you were coming down here, was there just this immense confidence, particularly those 2 back-to-back, Criskin and Northlight, that you were coming here to win the Derby every year?
Well, I wouldn't say there was a huge amount of confidence in Criskin. There probably was with Northlight, to be fair. And I know Workforce has got beaten in the Dante, but we'd taken him to Lingfield after, and worked well round there, and we felt he had a good chance.
So tell me about this horse this year for you, 2024 Deira Mile. You've brought him here this morning, which is, I guess, it can't be a bad thing, a bit of track experience and just having that moment here on the track, which isn't for every thoroughbred.
No, exactly, and it wouldn't be my style normally, but I just felt this horse, obviously, he sort of highly tried in his last run at Doncaster last year in a Group 1, but I wanted to just get his head in front this year in as weak a race as we could find, and I feel we did that at Windsor, and he won nicely. He's taken a big step forward from that, but Ahmed was quite adamant that he didn't want him to go for a trial, so I thought this would give us an ideal opportunity to come and have a feel of the track under our conditions. And Jim was very pleased with him, I was very pleased visually, thought it was good, and fingers crossed it's going to do him some good.
The owner, no secret of the fact that this is a very special race to him. So when you got care of this horse, was there always the thought that the Derby will be option A, if you will?
Yeah, look, I think his pedigree always suggests that. He looked last year as if he was, going to be more a 3-year-old. You can see he's a big lad.
Yes,
and I think, the trip won't bother him at all. But he's not slow, So yeah, that was always, we were hoping he was going to be good enough for that, and I feel he showed that in the futurity. That form's pretty solid, isn't it?
It is,
the horses around him. And I think ground will all come the same. Jim said he loved that, beautiful ground there, good ground. If it did end up being softer, not a problem.
So look, whatever the year, whether there's a hot favourite or not, we tend to try and go through the narratives of how strong or not a Derby, or how open or not a Derby you might think it is. How do you see the picture in 2024?
Well, look, it's at the moment it's looking quite open.
Yeah.
Obviously Godolphin have had some terrible luck. Aidan's horse has sort of got to come back. Then I was very impressed with James Fanshaw's horse at Lingfield. Look, I think it's certainly a race that you wouldn't be afraid to have a crack at.
Lastly, what would it mean to you to have your name as a Derby winning trainer?
Well, look, I probably wouldn't have the words to express, but as I say, I was very fortunate to be at St Michael's for 3, so to have my name on there would be sort of the Guineas, Derbies, they're all races we all want to win.
Andrew Cooper, how many Derby festivals is it now? I think we speak about this every year, but it goes back to, for you?
As clerk of the course, 1996. First working at the Derby Festival, Nashua, 1989.
So the transition from Wednesday to Saturday through that period?
Yeah, absolutely. Saw that. Saw the building of, well, all those grandstands you can see out there. Both the Queen Elizabeth stand and the Duchess's stand have been built 1992 and 2008. Yeah, so seen all of that.
So a race that's got so much tradition, history, but also a race course and a meeting that's been progressive in the time that you've been here.
Yes, I mean, I'd like to think so. I mean, as you say, I mean, I came here when it was a 4-day meeting, Wednesday to Saturday. The sort of, I suppose I was here through when sort of question marks started to be asked about the Wednesday Derby and its performance. Understandably, we had those incredibly sort of quiet Thursday and Friday, I recall. I mean, if you look at anyone watches Rainbow Quest Coronation Cup, sort of pulling double over Old Country, and just sees this race sort of taking place, you know, in the backdrop of nobody there, litter and whatever. I mean, it was just, it was clearly a format of race meeting that in its time served the place well and was probably correct. But I certainly was not here when it was ever in its sort of pomp in that respect. You know, you was frankly a bit embarrassed by the Thursday and Friday. And it got back to life for a Saturday Oaks in those days. So we had a short spell of a 3-day meeting, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in the mid-90s, and since I think it actually since '96 I think you've been 97. It's been the 2 days, Friday, Saturday.
And the Derby itself, since the turn of the millennium, the 21st century. You think about some of the winners and some of the great winners, some of the really strong recent horses to win this race. It would feel like the Derby's really got its mojo when it comes to the 21st century in particular.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's nice, you know, you go into the buildings here and look up the list of winners that, you know, not only that I've seen. You go back through time, and there you have little periods of maybe, I don't think there's ever such thing as a poor Derby winner, but there are clearly some who are less good than others. But yeah, you do get these little sort of crops of really sort of outstanding periods. You know, that sort of Galileo, High Chaparral, Sindar, you know, See the Stars, you know, followed by Workforce breaking the track record.
Australia, Golden Horn, Camelot, good horses.
Absolutely, all very, very good horses, you know, and horses who are basically, in a sense, bred to come and win the Derby. You know, something like Australia, sort of Galileo, Ouija board. You know, and I think one of the nicest things, you know, when you've been doing this as long as I have here, is to see sort of sons of Derby winners who you've known and sort of Clark that had them siring Derby winners is just magical.
I'm trying to think in that time. So, is it Galileo, New Approach,
you get
Massa?
Galileo, all of those. You get Galileo, New Approach. You know, See the Stars. You know, that's the magic of the race, really.
It's a legacy race. How are things going into 2024?
I think we're in a good place, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I think the track's been well received here this morning. I mean, we sort of knew it was in a good place. As we stand, I think it's ridden probably on the slower side of good, which is for an exercise morning, I think is what most people want, and that's fine. We did a bit of watering here in the latter part of last week to sort of get us to that point. We're on sort of weather watch here at the moment now to see what this next sort of 36-48 hours brings in terms of rain, and there's no confidence whatsoever in what that volume might be. I mean, it's difficult talking to trainers about Thursday night at Sandown, saying, well, we don't know, we could see nothing, we could see 30 millimetres. It really is one of those, which means we, you know, the ground conditions both hit could change. It would be lovely to see for here. I think it'd be very nice to see a nice drop of rain this week. We have been very dry actually of late. I mean, I think in the last fortnight we've barely measured sort of 6 millimetres of rain here. I know there's been rain around and the odd track has picked up a 10 millimetre shower, that sort of thing. But as far as this place goes, since May the 7th, we're about 6 millimetres, and May as a whole would be well below average for us. We're just over an inch of rain here in the whole of May, and most of that was at the start of the month anyway. So grass cover's good. It looks well. It's in good nick. Next week looks dry at the moment, I think, as far as we can sort of sensibly tell. And yeah, I mean, I think 10, 11 days out, this is. I think we're in a good place as we stand for sure. Just got to sort of steer it home now.
Wish you well. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks. Rossa Ryan here at Epsom's workout morning. Less than 2 weeks away from the big weekend. You've worked Macduff today. How did he feel out on the track?
Yeah, very good. It was a nice gallop to have for him to get him away from home. I probably didn't have any real concern, and he took the hill exactly how I thought he would. He picked up well. He's not a flashy horse. He'll only ever do what I ask him, and if I wanted him to be flashy, he could have been, but it didn't. So it's all systems go now.
How's just from a perspective of the ground? We've had a really warm spell. How would you describe the ground out there today?
It's good to soft. It probably is what it needs to be just for a gallop morning like today. And I would imagine any more sun that will come will pay into Macduff's favour.
So if we do get a nice spell between now and next Saturday, you'd be quite satisfied.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you take away from the classic trial when he ran second last time?
I would say it was probably the better of the trials, in my opinion. Obviously, it was he was always going to improve. Where seemed to leave a bit to work with, and he finished a good second. I thought I'd have got William, but I couldn't fully get out of the ground and got a small bit tired. He's got a great attitude, and obviously Williams' horse would be definitely vying for favouritism, but he's out now. So, yeah, I wouldn't. I was very taken by James Fancho's horse in the Linkfield trial. I was in that, but obviously, field looks open. Because City of Troy didn't turn up in the Guineas, and
we just don't know with him, do we?
Yeah, exactly. And you have to bring horses like the Roger Teal horse, Dancing Gemini. He has to get a mention. He was very good in France, I thought, and he's bred for this trip. And I have sat in him before, and I can see why Roger is coming along these lines with him.
I remember when Rafe introduced Macduff in that Newcomers Maiden on the July course last year. He was impressive to look at. He was impressive on the day as well. He's had very little racing, which of course many 3-year-olds do by the time they get to the Derby. But are we just scratching the surface with where he is and what ability he's possibly got?
I think so. He's very big, big, barrel of a horse. I think. I remember when he ran first time in Newmarket, he didn't really come down the hill for me. I think that was just greenness more than anything, but he certainly handled it this morning. So he's done everything right. He looks a picture. He was always going to tighten up from his first run, and his work at home has been solid with what we've asked, because he'll only give you what you ask of him. So, yeah, he could be one that he could go under the radar and everyone else's and turn up, but we don't know. We haven't gone under the bonnet fully to see what's there. So we'll make it up as we go. He was a bit weak last year as a 2-year-old, but still was running behind good horses that their form has stood up well. So we'll still see.
They went a mile, Nick, and and they went a nice even clip all the way around without asking any questions. We weren't looking for answers of it today.
They don't win a Derby today.
Exactly. In terms of ability, we were looking for answers in terms of whether he'd handled the track. We was pretty sure he was going to. At that pace, we'll see whether he's able to handle it on Saturday week going up a gear or two. But all the signs are good, and as much as anything else, it was a chance to get him away for a day. He hasn't run since the 26th of April, and it's quite a long time to space between events.
Roger Teal, trainer of Dancing Gemini. When you come back to Epsom, does it feel like a homecoming?
Yeah, I was here sort of most of my life, working for John Jenkins at Woodcote Stirred, and then at Phillips at Downs House. So spent most of my younger days here, and some very enjoyable times.
Did you? It's probably a cliche to say it, but did you? When you knew you wanted to be a trainer, did the Derby come as the first race that you would dream of back then?
No. Because I
Perfect.
didn't think I'd be training horses of this calibre. When you're first starting out, we started only with a handful of horses, so everyone wants to win the Derby or a classic or the Arc. We all dream of that, but in reality, I'm a realist, and I never,
Yeah.
you don't think of it, and then all of a sudden this horse comes along, and you start pinching yourself.
He's very well balanced, well put together horse who carries himself lovely. Even cantering down there, he handles the track no bother. And going half stride quicker, coming out of the dip, he's finished off really well.
What have you made of him so far in his, or the time that you've got to know him? What have you made of the way that he's obviously taken going to France, coming here today, and so on? Is he maturing at the right rate?
Yeah, look, he's got a great temperament, and he always has done. Obviously, France had that deluge beforehand, and flapping around with him, and it didn't faze him at all. So I think a big occasion here would be no worries for him.
Are you pinching yourself a little bit more after what you've seen this morning? Because William Cox, who we spoke to, he was pretty satisfied with what he felt.
Yeah, I was delighted. I mean, I watched him come down the hill, and I thought he looked great in my bins. But obviously I wanted to speak to William, and I thought he handled the undulations good coming down the hill, and spoke to William, and he just confirmed it. He said he floated round. So, so it was quite exciting.
Has he always given you this sort of X factor, this horse?
Yeah, definitely. They when you get a good one, they stand out, and he certainly does. He's always done things on the gallops at home that you think, wow, where did he come from? But he's like I say, tip to him was the same.
Yes.
The Oxted again. Certain horses like that. They just. I was saying to someone like the other day that you can drive a BMW and it gives you a great feel, but when you get in a Ferrari, it gives you a better feel. And that's the way this horse is, I guess. He's like a Ferrari of the world.
I wouldn't know, but I can only imagine. I tell you what, I remember speaking to you last year when it was coming towards the back end of the season, and you were saying you didn't want to go, or you chose not to go to the Dewhurst because you didn't want to take on City of Troy. You went to the Futurity instead. It looks like you'll be taking on City of Troy should you come here. So how do you evaluate the Derby picture as it is now?
Well, obviously, it has fallen. Certain horses have fallen by the wayside. City of Troy obviously disappointed in the Guineas, but so did Augustus Rohan, so you can't write him off. Aidan wouldn't be bringing him here if he didn't think he was good enough to come here. And like I said, you've got to respect him. But there is a blot in his copybook now, so you can't be too scared as well. So, every horse is beatable, and you just need everything to go right on the day. And like I say, the Derby picture has, with a couple of the Godolphin horses, obviously there's a sad loss of the horse at Chester, who's he looked a proper horse, and and obviously the other horse, Arabian Crown, fallen by the wayside, so it's opened things up a little bit,
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.